Oh, 7, it's raining hard out there. But we don't let that affect us because all we really care about in life,
gains.
Having a fulfilling gains. Yeah, what's cracking, guys? Omar Isaf here, back with another video. This is going to be a useful video, especially if you're a powerlifting bro and you do a lot of bench squat deadlift, which is fine, it's fantastic, it's great. There are a lot of individuals that have gotten very strong doing those movements, but I want you to consider one of the most underrated muscles in the upper body if all you do is horizontal pressing in an open chain movement. So we're talking about doing the bench press, the serratus. And in particular, the serratus anterior, we're talking about individuals that might not be doing the overhead press and push-ups. We're not talking specifically about doing movements that target this small muscle group, but its overall utility in your training. Ask yourself this question. Do you find it hard to lock out on the bench press? You see, on the bench press, because it's open chain, which means your hands are moving, they're not on the ground, we want to try and retract the shoulder blades. We're not really protracting them at the end. Why? Well, we want to have an efficient movement. We want to shorten that range of motion. So if we go from here to here, that's a longer range of motion. So we're not really targeting it. It's worked indirectly, but not sufficiently enough. And that's why you see calisthenic individuals, strongman competitors, weightlifters, where they have to hold a lot of weights over their head. They'll develop that serratus, and the serratus is useful, one, for protracting the scapula, but just moving it in general. And what you'll likely notice, as I have noticed, is that there's increased transferability, let's say, across movements. Meaning that the overhead press for myself, which I like to do and I do it a lot, doing the lockout at the top, you'll notice, as an example on the bench press, I never use wrist wraps. And I'm not saying there's a direct correlation between having more developed serratus and having a firmer grip or being able to hold that weight. But you'll note that throughout the range of motion, for me personally, it feels better. The weight always feels comfortable in my hands because I can have my shoulder blades retracted, feel strong, protracted in that position, and anything in between. The same idea when it comes to the push-up. And I think that's just essential. It's one of the functions of your body. So the bench press is fantastic, but really when you think about it, it's not artificial, but we're setting ourselves up on a bench press. We're pinning our shoulder blades back, and so we're not working some muscle groups. And if we want to have a strong overhead press, if we want to do things outside of the bench press, for our upper body push, it makes sense to do movements that kind of target areas maybe that the bench press isn't great at. And that's why for every individual, if you call it a pivot block or whatever you want to call it as a power lifter, if you have some time off and you could do some variations, I'm always a fan of the overhead press. And what's great, Severin, I made a video about 2 years ago talking about these things. You know, I was a little bit higher of a body fat percentage, so people are like, yo man, you don't even have that much of a serratus. Boom! You show that video right now. You show what's up. We got the images to show, and some people said, yo, those are images. Let's see a video. Let's get you a live action shot. Severin, do we train upper body today?
Absolutely not.
Not a damn thing. Is the lighting good in here?
Nah, that's all right.
It's all right. And am I pale or am I tanned?
A little bit of both.
I'm looking like a vampire, but you could even see it regardless. And that's why I think in individuals that do a lot of pressing, so a lot of weightlifting movements, strongman competitors, a lot of overhead press. So having a weight over your head, if you have a weight over your head, so once again, we're elevated and you're in a slightly protracted position here, so shoulder blades are kind of rolled a little bit forward. If it feels janky and you have the overhead press position and it feels like that, work on it. Closed chain movements such as a push-up where you allow, once again, the scapula, so you retract at the top and then you allow it to protract and you can do it weighted. Damn, you're working now a lot of muscles. And it's different enough than the bench press, and I think once again there's that transferability, which is just an entirely made up word, but we understand what it means when we say that. I think we should be thinking about how we want to train for the entirety of our lifting career. If all we want to do is the bench press, we want to get stronger in the bench press, do the bench press. If we kind of want to do other cool shit, lift shit overhead, we kind of have to practice that, right? And so you'll notice once again, calisthenic bros, individuals that do a lot of balancing, so they do some handstand movements, boom, gymnasts, they got that serratus. Olympic athletes, strongman competitors, it's powerlifters, they'll tend to notice when it comes to their physiques, it's an area that's lacking. So everyone out there, at some point in your training, overhead press where you focus, especially at the top, holding that overhead press. If you want to experiment with a push press or any overhead press variation, even an overhead squat, if you're doing weightlifting, fantastic. On the push-up, allow when you do a push-up. So we think when we do the bench press, we think what? Shoulder blades packed, and that's good. We want to shorten that range of motion. But on the push-up, allow your shoulder blades to come forward, allow them to retract, do it weighted over time, do it on a incline, so your feet are up on an incline and then you're actually down below, so it's a little bit bit more difficult, you will notice increased gains. And the word, I hate using the word stability, but you'll just feel more comfortable with weight in your hand is what I'd say. So a little bit of outside knowledge into a specific sport. Most bros that watch this channel, they want to increase their bench, squat, and deadlift, and that's super cool. You know, it's also great, the overhead press. So check it out. Let me know in the comment section below if you do these movements. You'll notice, bam, those shark gills. Let's call them shark gills. Is that a cool name?
Pretty cool.
Kind of pretty cool. Like Jaws was a thing in the late 70s. Shark gills. You want shark gills? Thank you so much for watching the video. That's all the time we have. Quick tip, if you like the video, Severin, how many likes do we want?
100,000.
100,000.
100,000.
I know Papa must essen, but that sounds like a lot.
I think they can do it.
All right, like the video if you like the damn video, and I'll see all you guys, my rascals, in that next one. Peace.
Eat your vegetables, eat your vegetables, eat your fucking vegetables.